Hi everyone. Hi Chirag. Hello Satwik.
Hi.
Am I audible now?
Yeah. I can hear you.
We're just waiting for Johnson. I think he has.
Johnsons are always late. I don't know.
Yeah, he's here, I think.
I think he's here.
Sir, Johnson sir.
Good Satwik didn't listen to you. Yeah. Yeah. That's Johnny. Hi.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I think let's start John as we go along because we had many more registrations. We had around 100 actually. Let's see how many of them join us.
Okay.
Yeah, let me start. 1 second. All right. So good evening, everyone. Greetings from Mumbai. My name is Anisha. I'm a founder of Physio Concepts Education. Last week we had a special event when we had John Gloucester talking to us about his inspiring journey of about 27 years of world quality experience in international cricket. But today is a very special day because we are trying to venture out into something new. This is like a brand new series. We are calling it Backstage Stories. And this is episode 1. We have Chirag and Satwik with us and Johnson Solomon, who's their physio. So let me tell you a little bit why we wanted to bring about such kind of series. We are all studying at college. Our seniors and teachers will always tell us that patients are your best teachers. They are your best friends. And then when we start talking in this scenario, I think we have to replace that word patients with players because then they become our best teachers. They are our best friends. We share a relationship with them. If you are a clinical sports physio, you might see players at your clinic once in a while or as and when they require their follow-ups and consultations. But if you're traveling with a team, if you're part of organization, you're with them like almost all the time, 24/7 if you're touring abroad. Player management becomes a very important part of sports physiotherapy. Understanding their background, culture, their psychology, their beliefs is so important. And that all leads to this relationship that we have with our players. So today we are going to talk about one such special relationship between these three. They have a very good chemistry between them. So let me introduce them in brief. Chirag and Satwik are the leading pair in Indian men's doubles. Current ranking is 10, but their highest ranking was number 7, which was around 2019. Chirag is from Mumbai, Satwik is from Rankireddy. We call Satwik, I'm pronouncing it proper, Amalapur.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And Johnson is with us. Johnson stays in Hyderabad, of course, now with Saigo Pitchan Academy. So both of them are really young and they have achieved tremendous at this young age. Satwik is only 19, Chirag is 22, and it is tremendous. Those of you who don't follow badminton that much, let me tell you, like they have some tremendous milestones behind them. I'm going to talk about 3 2018 silver, at Gold Coast, the Commonwealth. 2019, of course, winner at Rankireddy, and 2019 again French Open runners-up. These are the latest and very significant milestones. So thank you so much, Chirag and Satwik, to be a part of this. And
Thank you.
about Johnson. Johnson is the most senior physio. He studied his bachelor's at KIMS Bangalore. He did that was in 2000. 2008 he finished his post graduation. From 2008 to 2012 he was with Indian athletics team, and after the London Olympics he jumped into this long journey of badminton. It's still continuing. He's the head physio at one of the head physios at Cyber Academy in Hyderabad. Although he looks after all the players, singles as well as doubles, we can call Johnson a doubles specialist. With Chirag, Satwik, Ashwini, Sikki, Jerry, Sumi, Manu, all under his guidance and management. So, thank you so much. Sorry, and shall we start the conversation? Like, I'm really excited because this is the first time we are doing something like this under our Physio Concepts brand. Thank you. So, Chirag and Satwik, can I start off with you? Can you tell us a little bit about your journey in badminton and how did you find your passion in badminton? Did you try any other sports or was badminton your first sport?
Well, I think I started playing badminton at the age of 7. Initially, I think I was more inclined towards cricket, like any other kid in India. And but yeah, my father wanted me to pursue an individual sport, so he asked me to play either tennis, badminton, or something. So one day he took me to the badminton court to play along with him, and so my first coach, Manish Hatkar, saw me there, and he asked me, "Why don't you join the regular coaching?" So yeah, I said, "Okay, fine, I'll join it from tomorrow." So yeah, that's how I started playing badminton. And initially, it was just for like I think recreation, as a recreation thing. It was my hobby, but gradually, as I started playing tournaments and stuff, I realized I have good potential in it, and actually, I can take it as a career. So yeah, it's been the same since.
How old were you, Chirag?
So I started playing at the age of 7, but I chose it as a career. I think around after giving my 10th board exams.
You were waiting for your 10th, like to see your marks or something like what is that?
No, no. I had to choose if I had to take science or commerce. Like if I had to pursue badminton, then definitely I had to take commerce because I didn't think that it would be feasible or even possible if I take science and pursue badminton because juggling two things would have been a problem for me. So yeah, I had to take that tough decision and I chose commerce and started focused my whole attention on badminton.
And what about you, Satwik?
Well, same. I started at the age of 7. I started because of my father. He was a badminton player as well. Then my brother used to play badminton. So I joined with them. I started playing. My father was my first coach. So I started because of my school days. I never used to go school. I want to skip my school. So that's why I started playing badminton. I was very far from studies. So that's how it became very personal for me.
Johnson, do you want to add your journey as we are, talking about all three of you, how you started your journey? Were you, were
Yeah.
you always interested in sports physio or it happened by chance?
No, okay, basically, I come from a distinct place of Bidar, that's in Karnataka. So usually, like my playing days, I used to play a lot of sports, and probably like in my district place, we used to go for a football training under a Sai coach. That's in a JN Stadium, we call in a district place there. So So that was the interest, and that's how kept me going in sports. But I come from a parents who are.
Anuja Dalvi is only
I,
conducting this also. Why?
I come from a background where my parents are teachers, so the study holds utmost importance there. So, so I was just looking for something where I can study as well as get into sports. So I think physios has become very close to that. So that's how I landed up in this field.
That's right. I think I would just like to tell the participants if they can keep their microphone switched off throughout this, half an hour, 40 minutes that we are going to have a chat. Please keep your video and audio off. And if you have any questions, by the way, you can type in the chat box and we'll try to take those questions. Thank you. All right. So, Chirag, Satwik, again, back to you. In your introduction, I spoke about those 3 events, which are your latest achievements. So going ahead, do you want to tell us which one is the most special?
I think for me, it would be winning the Thailand Open, because I think yes, the winning, reaching getting the gold and the silver at the Commonwealth Games is special too. But I think winning the Thailand Open would definitely be the topmost, because I think when I started playing badminton, um, I used to watch a lot of people, the elite players playing the Super Series events, and it was always a dream to win a Super Series title. So yeah, I think winning the Thailand Open was definitely my most memorable one.
For me, I think I will prefer Commonwealth Games. So standing on the podium and singing national anthem was my dream. So that was very memorable for me. So we did in team event, we won a gold medal, and we tried in individuals. So we end up in silver medal. So yeah, for me it's like Commonwealth Games was memorable for me.
What about you, Johnson? You have seen them playing almost every tournament since last years.
Yes.
Not Chirag and Satwik. Maybe your memorable event probably is, maybe mixed doubles or any other event.
Yeah, I think there are many such moments have been, but if you have to pick very few, which you think they have been exceptionally different, probably I say Commonwealth Games was the one games where as a whole of a team we jumped in, and we everybody, every player played exceptionally well, and finishing on that whole of a team on a gold, winning a gold on that podium would be a different experience comparatively. And definitely, Thailand was a bit more, interesting, because these 2 boys were on a different zone during those tournaments, and we were playing the 4th tournament in a row, within that week. So probably first week, second week, third week, and fourth week we were playing the Thailand Open, and these guys were amazingly on a different zone to win that Thailand Open.
Yeah, we all saw the Thailand Open on TV. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
So, this is the world of badminton, and this is the best that you all do. Do you want to tell us more about now the training regime, recovery strategies? Johnson, if you can start off with that question, and then if the boys can tell us, about their routine week.
Yeah, I think.
It's in singles and men's. If you can just tell us about how different it is.
Okay. I think this 2019 was pretty much of, I would say, there was a lot of pressure on the players, because as you know that to play Olympics in badminton, they have to qualify. So they have to be on their topmost ranking all around the world, all through the year. So that puts a lot of pressure on the players, whether it is men doubles or men singles or women singles or any other event. So that adds a lot of pressure, and they have to be really in a good frame of mind, number one. And physically, they have to be really good. They should not get injured because badminton is such event that every week there is a tournament. So everybody wants to, all around the world, they wants to play all the tournaments and get their ranking up so that they can get into Olympics. So that adds up an extra pressure on this place for a whole of the year. So that's how like the year was a bit hard on the players when you compare with other years when they play. But definitely being a professional player, I think that's a challenge they have to go through and give their 100% and do well. So these boys have been doing well, and even others also have been doing well in that way.
Joseph, can you tell us about like how their weekly routine looks like at the
Yeah.
academy? Just like a general guideline to people. I mean, many of
Okay.
people are joining us are from badminton background, but if
Okay.
he doesn't
So
know,
usually their schedules are usually too tight within the week because when they are here in India training, they hardly get any time to train because the tournaments happen so often, so that they have to keep traveling back to the tournament places. So when they are here on the off season or when the tournaments are not there, they usually train all the 6 days, Monday to Saturday. So probably depending on the requirement and the planning of the coach and the games or the tournaments which we are playing in the days to come, according to that we plan our schedule. Usually they spend around 6 to 8 hours of training in a on court or off court, whatever training happens in a day. So that will be like 6 days in a week.
Chirag, Satwik, do you want to just add to it, like, how is your weekly routine looks like as far as training is concerned? I mean, I'd like to hear it from players now.
Yeah, so mainly I think for us, if there's a tournament, say in like 2 weeks, so we bring down the load to around 70-80%. Instead of doing more running sessions or training, instead we do a lot of on-court work. So usually in the mornings we train. So Monday, Tuesday, we have 2 sessions a day for 3 hours each or something. And on Wednesdays, we have a morning session and evening session is off where we play games. Then again on Thursday and Friday, we have 2 sessions which comprises of training, gym and stuff. And again on Saturday, we have 1 session and the evening session is off and Sunday is the whole day is off. So I think Johnson sir said, it depends on the tournaments that we are playing. So if a tournament is say 4 weeks away, we do a lot more of off-court training like running and skipping or something like that, so that we build in the muscles. But as the tournament comes closer, we put in a whole lot of effort on the court and less of training.
Right. So, Johnson, if we have to look at their training strategies or loading strategies, so you and SNC, like, work together, you have communicated about the players. So, how does it go, like, at the academy level? How do you
Yeah. Yes.
work?
So back in academy, usually the senior players are given a much of importance, and their individual training is planned. And every plan comes from as everybody knows, it comes from a chief coach Gopi Chand, as well as a double specialist coach. Earlier we had Flandy, who was Indonesian. So the training used to come from that part, and it includes team meetings of physios and assistant coaches, and many other trainers are there. So it includes everybody's input, and the a short plan and long-term plan has been checked out. So according to that, everybody keeps following that.
And that was about training. How do
Yeah.
you all manage your nutrition levels?
Pardon? Can you come again?
Nutrition, Johnson, how do you all manage the nutrition for
Okay.
a set of players?
Okay. So I think probably now badminton is on a high. So everybody, just comes up with a lot of suggestions. So initially it never used to be when I look back, like when we joined around 9 years or 8 years back. So at that time, it was like only two of the people who were handling the most of our athletes who are playing on the topmost level now. So one of my other colleagues, Kiran, was there and me were there. So we used to just sit and plan, like, whether it's weight training, whether it is their diet, or whether it is training path. So it is to be like a combined plan with all together. But now I think we have number of people have been more as the people who are into the team working as a nutrition and strength training part and strength trainer, and we have masseur and all other things. So sometimes we are on a advantage side, like Chirag and Satwik have a ghost force which comes into play, and they have to address if any issues has to be taken care. They are there to chip in. So we take inputs from even the as on a consultant basis, but as a day-to-day basis, we has been closely following this on most of the senior players.
Chirag, Satwik, do you have nutrition, like strict nutrition plans, and do you follow them? And is it fun following them, or it's a hard work?
I think better
So
Satwik answers this.
yeah. So Chirag should answer this because he follows nutritionist. I don't follow any nutritionist. I just eat myself.
Yeah, you will be surprised because I think the badminton circuit, Chirag is usually called as a Google because he knows so many things. So probably he was trying a few days of vegan diet also because he got influenced by some series where a lot of athletes have been influenced by this. So you have ample of knowledge about any nutrition. You can ask Chirag; he'll be sharing. With Satwik, it is only one diet: biryani, Hyderabad biryani. That's all he can have. but I need to add here, both of them have been very careful and they are very good eaters. So that I really appreciate both of them.
Because whenever a nutritionist writes a plan, or let's say physios and trainers are sitting down and putting plans for players, not every time players are sitting in those meetings, or every time, they are not asked, hey, Baba, do you want to follow this? Or, what are your choices?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are many who do that. But Satwik, Chirag, is it like, does it become very tricky and sometimes becomes like a punishment to follow nutritional plans? And what is
I think
your experience like with nutrition? Does it really help your performance, you think?
well, I think personally for me, I tried to follow a nutritional uh, diet. Like I had a proper plan, but I think the things that were mentioned in it, like I had to have like 4 to 5 times a day. I had to eat at regular intervals, which I don't think was possible because um, you're like training for 2 to 3 hours a day, and before that I have to go there and do my strengthening, and after the playing session I have to do my stretches. Then by the time I come back to the room, I am dead tired. All I can do is just eat whatever is available and go back to sleep. So I think well, if for me personally, I think I tried doing that, but it wasn't possible because I didn't have those resources mainly to follow it. But I consciously I decide ki nahi, I have to avoid eating junk food. So I don't really have junk food. But recently, just before the lockdown, like we had a um, tie up with Go Sports had a tie up with CureFit, so they used to supply food to us all 3 meals, and I think that was quite healthy. And I think uh, if consciously you would decide upon yourself to avoid eating junk food, I think it's well and good.
So, no, usually like when they are off for like a 4 to 6 weeks or so, I think that's the time we are very cautious with their diet because usually they don't get so much of time. But usually the different challenges for their nutrition nutrition is when we travel to different countries and different places, there are physical difficulties which you find. First of all, we have to really find the food which can be suitable to them, and the hotels has to be very close to the places where food is easily available, and where the supermarkets or anything which where we get the food, that place has to be very close by. So these are the physical challenges, and we don't want to have them frozen food usually, which is practiced in the other Western countries and other places. So these are the few precaution every time when we fly or when we go to those different places. So that's how we keep, because sometimes what happens, like uh, getting into a place where and having the food which is unknown to us or which is unusual for them, and getting a stomach upset, and falling sick. Better to have something which is more feasible for them, and which is like regularly they take. So we try to keep it very simple when something happens like that.
Yeah, I think like how Chirag said, I think convenience is the most important thing when we are planning diet for players.
Yes.
Because as he said, the cure fit was giving them, packed meals which were healthy. And after coming back, if you're tired, you have that food packet in front of you, but you know that it's healthy and you can go ahead and eat it. I think that convenience factor, and as you said, Johnson, that was really important when you're traveling abroad. I think food and nutrition is the first and foremost important thing for a physio to think about. Before even starting to think about training and recovery, I think food is the something that comes to mind first. Satwik, do you want to tell us you had any incidences where you ate wrong before training or before matches?
No, I don't follow any nutritionist. I eat
Probably you can
whatever I
ask him
like.
the Thailand diet, what he had during that week. He can give you the insight into that.
No. So morning lunch was Subway and evening after match was biryani. So all the week I had that and I won Thailand Open. So it's special, right? So whatever I like, I eat my fully, then I play my good. So that's my nutritionist. I follow my own nutrition schedule.
That's nice, but I'm sure you must be trying to stay away from like real junk food.
Yeah. Now I'm feeling that things like I want to follow some diet. So that age was gone. I'm getting like into seniors now, so I have to start following some diet. Like I have to start all these veggies and all. So I never used to eat from childhood. I always eat my own food, like only biryani, chicken, all these only few things. I never had anything very specially or very like new things. I won't try anything. So so I eat whatever I like only. So that's the problem from my childhood. So now I am used to it. Slowly I'm started eating all the things.
But what happens when you are traveling, Satwik and Chirag? Like while traveling, you may not get food for your liking. So how do you manage?
For me, I think I like traveling and I like trying new food. So my diet is a whole lot better when I'm not in India. I feel I'm a lot more healthier when I'm traveling because I get to eat, especially in Asian countries, because they have a thing where they have veggies along with chicken and rice, which I think is a whole lot healthier than what we usually eat in India, which has a lot of oil in it. So I prefer having food when I'm traveling. So for me, it's not that big a problem.
He always loves food, and you
You can
cannot ask him to keep the same diet for a week or so. It's really, and he can eat anything. So that's how he is. That's Chirag, and sushi becomes his favorite. That's
sushi,
why,
someone
yeah,
has written in the chat box that
yes,
he loves.
Yes.
he's a big fan. He probably he travel a half an hour to find that restaurant and to have that food. So
Yeah.
he can do that when we travel abroad.
Okay,
Yes.
but we're talking about this traveling thing because in individual sports, like the players travel a lot. Like every week, new competition, every week, new city, new country. So the first and again, very important thing that comes to mind if you are a physio and traveling with the team, how do you manage the jet lag and disturbance in sleep cycle? because you're always in a new, territory. So
Yeah.
new time zone.
So here it comes becomes important because now these guys have traveled so much, like since probably like 3 to 4 years around now, so they know how to handle themselves. But usually, what we do, like we look for the time zone if we are traveling to the countries like Australia and Japan, where they are a bit early. So we have to plan in a different way. And if we are traveling somewhere to Europe side, where we are early and they are little bit back. So we change a bit, like according to as we land, what time we land, and when to sleep. And if we are going a bit early, then we don't try to sleep there because we want to adjust to their timing. So usually we keep ourselves awake doing something else, and we'll try to as early as possible get adjusted with those timings wherever we are traveling to those countries. That we try to do that.
Chirag and Satwik, does that happen? Like, you know that you have to follow that time zone's clock, but then your friends are here, back in Mumbai and Hyderabad. So you have to stay tuned with that time zone as well, Indian time zone. So how do you manage?
I think usually, yeah, like Johnson sir said, we try to sleep according to the country we are in, the time zone we are in, and yes, it's kind of difficult because we've just arrived there and we have a friends to talk to. But I think the day we reach, I think if we are reaching in the morning, the best way to not to sleep is to go out and work out. Doesn't matter how tired you are, just a small, like a 20-minute jog on the treadmill is good enough, and you feel fresh. And I think once it's the right time to sleep, you'll just go off to sleep. So I think usually we do that whenever we have come after a long journey. We just go for a small jog or something, and so that we just sweat basically, instead of just going down and lying, because then we'll be lethargic the next day. So yeah, that's usually what we do.
Satwik, how do you manage changing time zones?
So actually now we are used to it, like it's almost 3 years we are traveling. So we know how to adjust to the countries. In Asia countries, like it became very easy. Like it's almost 1 hour, 1.5 hour difference. So we can adjust it easily. And whenever we go from airport, and we no need to find any restaurant to eat or like to go outside and check for restaurant. So it's always easy when you are playing on the same stadium, same hotel, staying at same hotel. So it's very easy for us, like, so it's very difficult for us, like sometimes to sleep, like when you are in Europe countries, if you are in Denmark, so it's almost 4.5 hours. Then it became really difficult for us, like staying, talking with parents and talking with friends is always difficult for us. Like मम्मी कॉल करेगा मैच क्या हुआ, तो मतलब वो डिफिकल्ट हो जाएगा हर बार हमको। वो टाइम पे कॉल किया तो वो लोग सोएगा, हम सोने के टाइम में वो लोग उठेगा, सुबह ही कॉल आ जाते हैं। लाइक व्हेन वी आर इन डीप स्लीप दे कॉल अस एंड आस्क मैच कितने बजे। So it's always dismiss for us. So now we are like very used to it. Like we know how to handle those jet lag, and so there was always physios who tells us अभी सो मत, अभी सोया तो रात को नहीं सोएगी, तेरे बारे में पता है तू और मूवी देखेगा ये करेगा। तो they tell us just go outside and just roam for 1 hour and you just come back. So now we are like used to it.
Johnson, what is your view on this?
Yeah. We regularly keep following them because we stay with them regularly. Like we sometimes um, we regularly stay them, and we say that if we are traveling to Europe, if we land up around 5 o'clock, and probably it is 10 o'clock for us in India. So by that time you really feel sleepy. So we ask them, just keep yourself a bit busy for some time so that we can sleep according to the time of Europe. So then it becomes much easier for next 1 or 2 days it takes, and maybe very soon they get adjusted with that. And as Chirag said, like usually we land into the place where we want a bit of their physical exertion to be happening. so that it can help them to go for a sleep or something. We keep suggesting according to the different places where we travel regularly.
Sure. Okay, another thing, whenever you all are traveling, like you are used to a set of equipment, facility, which is at the academy where you all practice, most of the time. But then if you're traveling to different places, different hotels, some hotels have smaller gyms, some hotels have, proper functioning gym. So how do you tackle those challenges for training?
Yeah, I think especially in Asian countries, we usually don't find a problem because especially badminton is very well played in Asian countries like especially China, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand, and many other countries like Chinese Taipei. Most of these Asian hotels are like usually big enough and comes with the facility of your a pool and with recovery resources and gym resources. So usually we utilize those places in Asian countries, but we usually find it difficult when we travel to the places of Europe, where really the hotels are literally little bit small and the climatic conditions are not much suitable according to the seasons. So that puts an extra pressure on that us. But still, we few of the things which we regularly carry to the places where it can be helpful for our players, and we utilize according to the needs of a player.
So both of you, do you carry stuff in your bag, which will help you to do exercises in the room?
Yes,
Gym is not available.
yes. See, when you talk purely on a physio side, if I have to talk like what I carry, then probably first thing I carry like the basic medicines which where I don't want my players to fall sick. That is the number one thing. Okay, then following by then I'll be having my own kit, which every tournament I keep it, according to the country which we are traveling, we keep changing. So usually when Europe and all we travel, we don't get any gym facilities there. So that time we carry a bit of extra bands and Terra bands and other small weighing balls and other things like which can be more helpful and where we can engage the players to do those weights and all. So that will be more helpful for them.
All right. I think we are just going to take a couple of questions from the chat box, and then we will continue with my questions. So, Bala Vamsi, I think he's mistaken that both of them practice at different academies. Why is he question? Bala is saying that you both are practicing at different academies. How do you manage? Now they are both practicing at one academy. It's the Gopichand Academy. So, that's how they have a great chemistry, and they are one of the countries. In fact, they are top doubles player of the country. And also, he wants to know that there was one episode when Satwik smashed the shuttle, and he like. Here's the question. Sorry.
I think they are talking about the breaking of the shuttle. Satwik, say, have you broken the shuttle by smashing? That's what they want to know.
He destroyed a shuttle with a smash and feathers came out. Is that true? He wants to know.
No.
पहले ही आधा टूटा हुआ शटल को मारा होगा तुमने है ना चिराग no but I need to add to this you have Satwik have a good smash and it is international circuit when you play with the best of the players, so usually players are cautious to play against him. They don't want to give him as much chance as for Satwik to hit him hard. So, but you cannot say with Chirag also. Chirag also have been really hard on the court. So you cannot say that's the advantage. They complement each other. So sometimes the opponents keep them, keep on the places where they can't hit regularly. So usually they do that. So sometimes that time Chirag chips in and that takes them the opponents into surprise. So that's how they complement each other on court.
So, Johnson, continuing our discussion, can you tell us more about the badminton-specific injuries? According to your experience, you have such a vast experience now with badminton.
Okay. Yeah. See, to understand the injuries, first of all, we need to understand the badminton, because badminton is a very complex sport, and as you know, that is the second most popular game which is followed in the country, like in India. And the game itself has a lot of variations. You have a speed, you have a jumps, you have a change of direction in a sudden quick movement, and a lot of lunges, side to side jumps. So all this makes the game very complex. And meantime, you have to move your body in a different directions according to the shuttle reaching out. So that puts a lot of challenges on their physical body. So that's how the injuries are more common. You can see in them. So generally, I feel that when you look into the studies or researches which are done on the badminton, especially in the badminton, you find the lower limb, the segments from back to down until the heel. The percentage has been found around 60 to 70% of the people are injured with their ankle, knee, and hip, and hamstring and back. So this comprises a 60 to 70% of the injuries. So when it comes to badminton, I think we have to put a lot of stress on the prevention. So we usually in a national institute, when we train, we stress a lot on this part, so that we don't want the players to get injured in the time.
Right. And Chirag and Satwik, do you want to tell us, as I was saying, I think players are our best friends. When we are sports physios, through them we learn a lot. Do you want to tell us about your experiences with injuries, and how do you manage? Like, how do you overcome these injuries?
Well, I think um, we've been injured quite a lot, both of us actually, and I think the one that I can remember, which I still remember properly, is because my since I'm tall, I'm quite I would say I have a lot of back injuries because there's a whole lot of bending in badminton. So I remember just 2 weeks prior to the Commonwealth Games, uh, just after coming back from the All England Open, I think a day after I came back, I was playing a match and suddenly um, I had a spasm in my back and I couldn't play after that. So Johnson sir asked me to. I think Johnson sir wasn't there that day. We had our another physio, Anushi ma'am. That day she asked me to just rest in the room, and once I got up after like an hour or two, I couldn't get up from the bed. It was like really bad. So I called up Johnson sir and I asked him what to do. So he said he's not there that day because he had gone to his hometown. So the next day he came to Hyderabad and he saw my back and he gave me few medicines. So I took that and for the next 2 3 days I just rested. After that we went for the MRI. Luckily it was not that big an injury, and yeah, that after that we did our rehab, strengthening and stuff. And yes, I think just I would say um, one day before leaving, we were leaving on a Monday, and on Sunday I played for the first time. For 2 weeks I did nothing. I didn't hold my racket, nothing. And after that, God knows how I played. I think all credit to Johnson sir for that. And since then, I think it's been 2 years. I've never missed a back strengthening session. Like before every session, I have to do strengthening at least for 15 to 20 minutes. Without that, I can't really enter the court.
So Chirag, as a player, like what goes in your mind when you are injured, let's say, and there is a pressure of upcoming competitions, training is getting missed. How do you tackle that mental component?
Well, mentally, it's quite challenging, I would say. I think no player really wants to get injured, but uh, for that, you need to understand that uh, it's a sport where you are using your hand, you're using your leg, you're using the most part of your body, and it's bound to get injured. So you need to take care of it. I think so. Usually, before I start the session, I do my back strengthening, my shoulder strengthening, which are more prone to injuries, and where I have had injuries before. So that's what I do, and you can't. I would say you can't really do anything much about it, but you can. If you want to avoid it, you have to do strengthening and a whole lot of exercise, or you'll have to sit out of the badminton for the court for like 2-3 months, which you don't really want to. So instead, just putting in 20 to 30 minutes of your time before the session is a whole lot better than sitting out for 2-3 months.
Satwik, what is your experience with injuries?
I think he can explain you much better. The last 2 years have been very good
Crazy
experience.
injuries for me.
Yeah.
Well, like I have shoulder injury, I have chest injury, I have ankle injury. So it's been a roller coaster for me. Every 6 months I got any new thing for me. So most of the time I get shoulder injury because I play two events and my main thing was smashing. So it's really important for me to do strengthening and do that massage for me for my shoulder releasing thing. So Johnson was doing like alternate days every time. So but yeah, like I had ankle injury recently, so it's mentally tough for me last 2 years. So every time I get injury, I get like very irritation. So without doing anything, I get injury. So I don't work, I don't do anything stupid also, but I get injury. So that was the time where I get like really irritated and asked Johnson sir, sir अभी मैं घर चला जाऊंगा, इधर नहीं रुकूंगा मेरे को बहुत गुस्सा आ रहा है academy में. So he never gives permission, but yeah, so he take care of me very well. Recently, when I get injury in PBL, so every day I stay at his room. So he was taking care of me like really good. So all good to Johnson sir.
You know, like when an individual player is playing, if they have injuries, they know that okay, they have to spend some time and get back on the court. But now here, because you're a doubles pair, if one person gets injured, then the other also cannot play and cannot participate in tournaments. So how do you both like manage that? Do you both talk to each other when, if let's say one person is injured, do you both talk to each other? How is it going? And do you both help each other?
Both of
Yes,
them,
I
they
think.
talk to me first.
Yeah, yeah.
I need to bring a different incident. Okay, here I think once Chirag finishes, then I can come and share the incident. Chirag, you go
No, I
ahead.
think Johnson sir should go ahead. I think, like he said before.
Okay, so this was happening in a badminton league. Okay, Chirag is playing for a different team. That is like Mumbai.
Pune.
Pune. He was playing for a Pune, and me and Satwik are in Chennai. So we are playing for a different team. And the very second match or third match, Satwik gets injured, and that's in the Olympic year. So we are playing. Me and Satwik are in same team. We don't want to share the information with Chirag, but Chirag is worried not about the league because he has to play the Olympics because it's supposed to happen. And you don't believe me, he regularly keeps calling every hour, every minute, saying, "Sir, क्या हुआ, ज्यादा तो नहीं है ना, खेल पाएंगे ना हम लोग, खेल पाएंगे ना." So these were repetitive questions. So somebody who is a player or becoming a player, I want to say them, like who wants to become a doubles player. See, that is a concern for each other. Whether professionally they are playing for a different team, but when it comes to having a concern for each other, like what will be the outcome and how many days it takes, so that rapport goes very good with these two boys. So that I need to bring it out here.
Satwik, do you want to say anything?
So nothing, like yeah, like when I was injured, like Johnson was telling me don't share anything. That was there, like किसी को मत बोल, चिराग को भी मत बोल, ये पर्सनल है. But चिराग always used to message me, ठीक है ना, खेल मत तू, बैठ जा आराम से बैठ जा तू, एंजॉय कर, चिल कर, उधर इधर जा मत. So चिराग always care, like whenever I get injury. And like once this incident happened when like Chirag played with Jerry Bhaiya in one tournament, then he asked me, मैं अभी खेलूंगा tournament, तेरे को कुछ problem नहीं है ना मैं खेला तो. So because I was off for almost 3-4 months, so he asked me, I will play few tournaments with Jerry. Then I said okay. We just asked Gopi sir and Tan coach was there that time. So he asked me and he played 2 tournaments. Then I was back again. So then we played again. Really good.
But because this was Olympic year,
Yeah.
last year was supposed to be Olympic year. Now we have one more year towards the Olympics. So, do you think you were particularly scared, Satwik, because you had that chest injury, then shoulder was also involved, then ankle was involved. I remember Johnson came with you to Mumbai to meet the doctors and get everything done. So, were you worried that where am I going this year?
No, I'm not so worried. Like now, I think I am fine. Like literally, I am doing my own duty. Like I am doing stretching, I am doing strengthening. Before I was very lazy guy. I just play on court and just go and chill with my friends. But now I really got like I understood. I got some maturity. That's okay. So I have to do some strengthening first. I have to wake up first. Then I have to get ready. Then start doing strengthening. Then doing stretching and doing some releases, then doing some massage every week. Then that's my duty when you want to play like professional badminton player. So there are some seniors who suggest me don't neglect at the injuries. So you are playing really good. That too, you are playing 2 events. You have to like work really hard for that. That we are a back player. So I got Kashyap Bhaiya advice, then I got Guru Bhaiya advice. So I have all the seniors who was telling don't neglect the injuries, don't neglect it. So so I realized myself, अच्छा मैं अभी 4 months wait किया, so like I played only once All England, so I lost 2 times All England playing All England. So I got injury 2 times All England. So Chirag was very upset. Our All England was a good tournament for us. Like so when I was injured, obviously he also won't play. So like so when I get injury, I feel for 3 people: me, Ashwini Didi, and Chirag. So double pressure for me. I always keep in mind. अभी injury नहीं होने, ज़्यादा नहीं होने, ज़्यादा नहीं होने. So so I became like not lazy guy. I am starting doing now strengthening and all these things. So yeah,
So
not so worried now.
I just had to hear because you need to understand basically like somebody who's a citizen in this group can look into it because they are not so old players, they are very engaged. They're coming from a teen and moving to the adulthood. So now Satwik is just 19 and Chirag is 22. So this is a bit difficult for them to, as a teen you want to do everything and nothing happens to you. But as you are moving towards adult and playing at the highest level, the challenge on the physical body and the things to be taken care becomes much more challenging. So it takes a bit of time to understand. So probably that is the one good advantage. Most of the senior players, when they are around, they give a lot of feedback, positive feedback to them, saying that okay, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to take care of yourself because you are very young. So that gives a lot of positive vibes around them, and they get a lot of positive feedback from the seniors. So that holds a very importance for them to grow up as a player.
Uh, so, so last year was, last year, and now few months we're supposed to be road towards Olympics, and from 2020 now we have 2021 Tokyo Olympics. So now what's the plan? Because already there has been, let's say, from March 3 to 4 months of lockdown. They are not at the academy; they are in their native places. So there are a few, audience questions from the audience regarding the lockdown. So what's the plan ahead, Johnson, Chirag, and Satwik? Like we have few more months to go up to Tokyo. So what are you guys planning?
So
So
I
personally, I feel like this lockdown helped me a lot. Like actually, I got individual time to spend on my body. So I started understanding about my body. So how it works, like what my body really wants, and I started doing upon all these things. Like I started doing so many individual things. Like I am really caring for my shoulders, and I was doing like I got like really specific time for me for my body. So I think this period like helped me a lot. So I think I became more fit at this like 3 months. So I feel like and now I started playing slowly, but I can feel I am started playing very fastly. I can move fast. I can see that difference. And I was having home food. All these things were useful for me in this lockdown period. So yeah.
Chirag, what about you?
Well, the last 3 4 months, like initially, it was kind of difficult because it was a very big year for us, and we had worked really hard, but unfortunately there was a lockdown. And the first few days, yes, I tried to tried to work out on my own, but after the first week, I lost the interest, and I lost the motivation to actually work out. So I started doing the online sessions which we had over Zoom call, where all the national camp athletes were training together. So we used to have 2 sessions a day, morning and evening. So yeah, I had been doing that for the past 3 4 months, and I think uh, I have been using the little resources that I have. I also bought a few gym equipments at home um, to work out, but and yeah, I've been doing that. And as far as the road ahead, I think once things get better, and when we get back to playing at the national center, I think when we can look ahead. But right now, it's better not to plan anything because the situation is as such. Things are changing every single day, so it's better not to plan anything. Instead, um, just let things be as they are.
I think that's a very good advice, Chirag. Take every single day as it comes.
Yeah.
Joseph, do you want to share the plan, the academy?
Yeah, this information, like usually we follow whatever the chief coach says. That according to that, the whole team goes according to that. So we had a couple of meetings on Zoom call, like what can be done and how best we can keep engaged these boys who are staying in their native places, not just Chirag and Satwik, but many more people. So it has been decided that first of all we want them to be safe. We don't want them to go out in their respective places and get closest to the infection. So that's number one, our concern. And the second one, we want them to keep up their fitness as much as possible. We don't want them to push so hard being in a home, but still at least if you can maintain the 60 to 70% of 80% of fitness by doing the regular sessions, that should be okay. Then we have a regular sessions which we are doing online. Like Gopi sir himself leads the session and with other support staff involved into it. So usually we have a morning session and evening sessions where all the players are supposed to join and do workouts in the home itself. So that's how we are keeping them busy. So that once the lockdown gets over and everything becomes normal, then we can start back to the normal practice.
Just one last question from my side. Like, how do you all are managing the mental side of it? Because we know many players had disturbed sleep cycles. They were feeling very anxious that where this is going to take us. When can we start practicing? When are we going to start competing again? Can you both give us some point of view? How are you managing? How are you coping? Chirag, I think you are on mute.
Yeah. So I think um, as for me, yes, like you said, we had some weird sleep cycles, and all of us were quite anxious when things will get back to normal and when we'll be able to get back on the court. So yeah, I think initially I tried to follow the proper sleep schedule, but I couldn't because we had so much free time all throughout the day. We couldn't really uh, keep our focus and keep that motivation going. So like I remember sometimes I used to sleep at like 1 in the night and getting up at say around 6:30 for a session, doing the session, having my breakfast, and again going to sleep. So I think it was quite a weird schedule for me, which I'm not really used to. But I think now it's a lot better. Now I've come to terms with it, and I've been following a proper sleep schedule, because um, you really need to understand that it will be quite harmful for the body as well. So it's better to have a proper sleep and work out along with it.
And is it helping, Chirag, now? Are you getting better sleep?
Yes, now I am. I have increased the workload, so now I am getting better sleep, because when I am training full fledgedly, you don't have any energy to do anything else but rest. So for example, when I'm training, once we get back to the room, I don't have the energy to talk to anybody or do anything else. All I do is have my dinner, my lunch, and go off to sleep. So yeah, and now since I've been working out a whole lot more, uh, like I think it's kind of similar to that. And yeah, it's a lot better now.
Satwik, we heard you are practicing every day.
Yeah, so for me, it's fine. Like mentally, I am okay, but yeah, I'm worried about the situation when everything will open, when we'll go out for movies, and I was very worried about that. When I will have my Hyderabad biryani, all these things. But yeah, like I do like 2 sessions daily. So every week I was doing just to like I was very bored at home. I can't sit at one place like for a long, so I go out and I just go out to my place. I go to my stadium and I do myself. I play in the morning. I do some training in the evening. So like for me, sleep was good. Like I sleep early and I wake up late. But yeah, all these things were working for me really well in this lockdown.
Johnson, is there anything from the academy, like any support, like a psychologist session, or you all are talking to players?
Yes, like usually morning 6 o'clock sessions, usually Gopi sir himself speaks to the players and he takes up a session. And morely it is concentrated on the meditation part and the breathing part and the things which can help them keep mentally fit. So that's the thing which is regularly happening, and all these boys and other teammates they keep joining regularly. So that's the one session which they do with on the mental aspect. So that's how he keeps up the spirit of all this plays online.
That's nice. That's nice. Okay, one last question to both of you. What qualities do you want to look in your physio? You can you can pretend Johnson is not here. Do you want
So
me?
Johnson sir is like not only physio for us, he is coach as well. So whenever we don't have coach, he tells us strategies. वो बोले अरे ये खेलेगा तू ready रहना. So he always sit behind us in the crowd and he always shout us अरे मारना मारना चिराग ready रहे तू उधर खेल रहे. So it was like additional plus for us in my like in our game. So he is being with doubles team from so long. So he's very helpful for us. So every time I play mixed doubles, he always comes and cheer for us. And me and Chirag, especially when we are playing Thailand Open, so he was like very helpful for us in Commonwealth Games as well, in PBL as well. So he was the backbone for us in the main tournaments which we won. So yeah, so additional support if Johnson sir was there.
Chirag, I think again you're on mute. I think you're on mute.
So yeah, for me, I would say that a physio should like I would say, for example, it shouldn't like he shouldn't um, be the same with all of them. Some people might want to know what the injury really is, and some might feel some just want that motivate think कि चलो कुछ नहीं हुआ है अच्छा चल जाएगा. So for me, I am the one who would want कि कुछ नहीं हुआ है चिराग, you'll be fine in a week or so, because I don't like it's better I'll be motivated then. So I think that really is important, which he does with me. For example, I would say in the Thailand Open, I had a pull in my ab while playing the Japan Open, and the next week was the Thailand Open. And after every match, we used to release it, but I wasn't resting that much, so all we could do was ice it and release it. But I think after the semi-final match, I think it had torn completely. I couldn't really walk, so he told that day he told me कुछ नहीं हुआ है बस आज ये नहीं करेंगे रिलीज नहीं करेंगे बस आइस कर देंगे कुछ नहीं हुआ टेंशन मत ले take this medicine and you'll be fine some painkillers and you'll be fine. So I think you need to be psychologically there as well. Yes, helping your players with the injuries, whether it be releasing or treating it, is there, but you have to be psychologically there for the players as well. I think that is also really important.
Johnson, and you have been doing that job, isn't it? Traveling with the team, you
Yeah.
are.
I think if I have to just wrap up in single thing, it takes a bit of time to build up that rapport and the trust and that belief. Okay, and especially these boys and the other players who have been staying away from their parents, and they spend a lot of time with us as all the professionals, like whether it is the coaches or assistant coaches or other strength trainers or anybody. So they spend around like probably like 8 to 10 hours, and when they are here in Hyderabad or when we are traveling abroad, they are almost 24/7 with us. So there is a lot of trust and rapport which is built up, and we need to really understand their point of view and their mindset, what they really want. So based on that, then as a professional, what you can do best to help them out with those situations. So I think that helps, to come out something good, and that can be helpful for both of us, like a player as well as a game, and probably for everybody it would be more helpful.
Great, thank you so much. It was pleasure talking to you. We have
Thank you.
almost spent 1 hour with you. Thanks a lot. This was the first time we did such kind of a session. Physio players together, sharing their experiences, especially about injuries and what they expect from their physios. It was really nice. I really thank all of you
Thank you.
on behalf of Physio Concept. Can Satwik and Jaskeet,
Thank you.
start your video for a few seconds? So I would like to thank my other team members who are always behind me, to put up this show together.
Thank you. Satwik. Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you, Sanjay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you
a lot.
everyone who are with us still. And we will be coming up with newer episodes in this series. We'll be talking to more players, their physios. As we go along, every weekend, we will try to come up with a new webinar. And thank you, Johnson.
Thank
Chirag,
you.
Thank
and
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.